Right, so this lesson is just going to be a little continuation of the one you did yesterday about slopes. This is going to be, title this one, Lines in the Coordinate Plane. So all we're going to talk about today is graphing lines. And we're going to obviously be working with a graph, so go ahead and get your coordinate plane. There's my y-axis. Here's my x-axis. And arrows on here, so this is x, this is y. Remember, rulers, people. Walk by and look at some of your notes. Looks like you're using the side of your hand for a straight edge. Use a ruler. So now I'm going to write down the type of problem that you're going to have. You're going to do problems. Some of you are going to like this because it's really algebra heavy. Find the equation. So you should write this, right? Not a screenshot. Find the equation of the line with slope. And we'll say our slope is going to be, put in a different color, making it fun again. With slope negative 1/3 that passes through we're going to put a point on here, passes through the point 2, 3. Right, so that's the kind of problems we're going to be doing. And immediately when you see all that, you can probably almost do the problem without writing anything, because you know that you're going to write y equals negative 1/3 x plus, and now that's all we need to find right there, right? If we could find that y-intercept, we'd be done with this problem already. So we're going to come over to our graph, and I'm going to put my point 1, 2, 3. Right, so there's my point 2, 3. Just like we've been doing, I'm going to go down 1, right? And I'm going to go right 3. Just like that. And right there, I'm going to put another point. Doesn't really matter what the point is, right? Because I'm practically done with this problem. What am I going to do now? I'm just going to draw a line that goes from this point through this point, right? I want it to have the same slope. I want to go down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3. I should have said down 1 right 3, shouldn't I? Because I should be correcting you on that class tomorrow, I'm sure. And to go the other way, I just am going to do the opposite of that. So instead of going down 1, right 3, I'm going to go left 1, or left 3, up 1. So I'll be able to just continue on left 3, up 1. Left 3, up 1. So I have this nice line here. And I got my slope, right? Everywhere I go, I've got down 1 over 3. I'm pretty much done, right? All I need now is to write down the y-intercept. So take my pencil, and I go to my y-axis, and Houston, we have a problem, right? Because what is the y-intercept there? Right? It's not 0, this is 0, 3 right here, and this is 0, 4. So the best I know is that my y-intercept right here, the number that I need to write here, is more than 3 and less than 4. So if this was multiple choice, I might be able to kind of educated guess my way to it. But I'm not going to be able to do that here because this is I just need to write the number in that blank. So what we're going to look at today is how we do that. Right? You thought it was going to be easy, right? Like, oh, we're almost done. No, sorry. JK, LOL. All right. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to write down what I do know. All right? And what I do know is the slope. And remember, the slope is the change in y over the change in x, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? So now let's go back up to our point here, this 2 comma 3. Well, it gives us an x1 and a y1, right? We just don't know the x2 and the y2 of this point. If we did, we'd be done, right? Because the y2 of this point would be the number that goes right here. So we're going to do something a little different, not exactly what you're used to. I'm going to write down my slope here. I know my slope is negative 1 over 3. And I also know that that equals y2 minus, now remember y1 is 3, isn't it? So this goes too fast for you. Slow down and pause it. Watch it again. Remember, my slope, negative 1 over 3, equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 minus 3 over x2 minus 2. Right? Now, believe it or not, this is all the information you need to come up with the equation for this line right here. So I'm going to walk you through it. I want this thing right here. I want to manipulate this to where it says y equals mx plus b. Right? I want to change this to say that. Well, I've already got the m right there at 1/3. So I'm not going to mess with it too much. But I got these numbers here, and I got the y and the x. Here's the y. Here's the x. Okay. So I'm going to do some manipulation here. The way I'm going to do it is just like I do an algebra problem. So how do I get this to say y equals? Well, I need to isolate the variable. So I'm going to get rid of everything that's not the y. So how do I get rid of x2 minus 2 on the bottom of this? Just multiply both sides by x2 minus 2. Right, just like that. And so now, on the left side here, I'm going to multiply both of these by negative 1/3. So I have negative 1/3 x2. Now negative and negative makes positive. And 1/3 times 2 is 2/3. On the left side here, on the right side, I mean, those will just cancel out. And I'm going to have y2 minus 3. This is looking really ugly, right? Well, that's okay. We're going to keep going because that's how math is. It's hard at first. It gets easier. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. See, I won't add 3 to that because that has an x, so I'm going to add the 3 to this. Now, negative 1/3 x2 plus, now 3 is 9/3, right? Right? 3 is 9/3, so 9/3, 10/3, 11/3. And then on this side, I just have the y2, and negative 3 plus 3 just cancels each other out. So now I'm done, right? I'm just going to rewrite this, and I'm going to get rid of the 2's because I don't need the y2 and x2. I just need the y equals negative 1/3 x plus 11/3. Now you can take your calculator and figure out that 11/3 is 3.67. So let's go back up to our equation here and see if 1, 2, 3.67 is a believable number for that, and it sure is, right? Because it's more than 3.5, which would be halfway, but it's less than 4, which would be way up here. So that's how we find the equation of a line when it doesn't have a nice pretty y-intercept. Now you might be thinking to yourself, I'm not going to be able to do that again. Don't worry, I'm going to make this a lot easier for you really fast. Okay, so we're going to start with our slope formula. Remember, it's m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And the first thing I did, I started with that here, right? I had the m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, the very first thing I did is I multiplied both sides by x2 minus x1. It just happens that x1 was 2. And I multiplied this side by x2 minus x1, right? And then I came up with m times x2 minus x1. That's where I did my 1/3 times x2 and my 1/3 times -2 over here. So still the same stuff I did. I'm just writing it without any numbers. And this cancels out, and I had y2 minus y1. And remember I told you we didn't really need the 2's, right? We got down here, we just kind of lost them. We didn't really need them at all. So I'm also going to flip this around. I'm going to use my symmetric property of equality that says I can just flip these and write them in a different order. I'm going to write y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And this is a formula that you can always use to find the equation of a line anytime you know one point and the slope. And it's called the point-slope form of a line. So this is something you're going to have to memorize. And the next time you have a problem like this that says find the equation of a line with a slope that passes through a point, you just come down here and you plug in the slope. You plug in the x1 and the y1 for the point, and you'll immediately have this part. Just move this around a little bit, and you wind up with y equals mx plus b, and you know that y equals mx plus b is called slope-intercept form. These are the two forms, or two of the forms, I should say, that you're going to be required to write lines in. You may be having to switch from one to the other. You may get a bunch of these and say, write it in point-slope form. You may get a bunch of point-slope forms and say, write it in slope-intercept form. But it's all just algebra. It's all just manipulating. So come in with questions tomorrow. We'll practice it a lot.